Welcome to Wizards of the Tower.
Roleplay.
This episode, we're going to be talking about a balanced party. Welcome to Wizards of the Tower.
Roleplay.
I'm going to talk to you about, in my belief, I think a party in an adventure, a campaign, should always be balanced. Now, what do I mean by balanced? You have your fighter type, you have your healer type, you have your arcanist type, and then you have your rogue type.
Yeah. You know, the point is you want to have, the kind of people based on, what kind of encounters you may have. It's sort of like a, Green Beret Special Forces team. You got to have a demolitions expert. You got to have small arms. You got to have reconnaissance. You've got to have communications. You've got to have
healer.
medical personnel, that sort of thing. So your small combat squad that a lot of times D&D ends up being a combat squad. You end up with a meat shield, a fighter, somebody who can jump right in front of the arcanist and hold the guys back long enough so that the arcanist can come up with a spell. You want to have an arcanist because in those D&D worlds there's always magic, and you have to have someone understand magic. All right, a healer. Well, you want to have someone to boost and buff and raise your people back up so they don't just die on you all the time. No one likes having to constantly roll up new characters. And then you want to have a rogue, and that's the whole Dungeons and Dragons thing. We have dungeons. You have a rogue sneaking around the dungeons, unlocking doors,
Picking locks, finding traps.
Sort of like tearing traps down so that you can get through them. What is not defusing traps? What is it? Disarming traps. Just that word wasn't quite there. Disarming traps, so that you're sneaking through a dungeon. You've got that. So you start out with the four basics: fighter type, okay, arcanist, right, healer, rogue, okay, and that's your basic older style, older editions sort of squad.
Right, arcanist. We mean magic user, sorcerer, warlock, magus, maybe. Even though he's kind of a magus, is kind of your fighter, wizard type. Used to be illusionist. Witch, which is kind of doubling as a healer type, but somebody who can pull upon the arcane forces to
spells.
Throw that fireball or throw that cloud kill
or interpret magic. What spell is being used against us? Well, I'll use spell identification. Well, be careful, they're trying to throw a silent spell on me. Attack that guy back there, or something like that.
Hey, this candle detects magic. What does this candle do? I don't know. It's worthless.
Yeah.
Now we got to go spend lots of money to go into town if we can find somebody who can identify this.
Exactly.
Well, Mr. Wizard can drizzle, drome, and say, oh, that's a candle of evocation.
Exactly. So I think that's, it starts out very basic when you have your editions where you had your basic squad, which is fine. But then as the new editions came out, they started adding in all these new classes. And then you begin thinking, well, is it necessary now on to have a balanced party when you have all these prestige classes who can do everything?
Yeah, whether you've got, once again, the magus, you've got the witch or warlock, you've got the oracle, you've got the bard. Bard wasn't always necessarily a character in first edition or even in second edition. They were kind of a subgroup of the rogue.
Well, there was that, but then also in 3.5 Pathfinder, bards could convert their bardic spells into healing spells.
Right, so they could be a healer. The adventure, we've talked about this in some of our episodes. Yeah. The bard that we had, that Tom played, that kept us alive because he could convert spells into healing.
I mean, we had to have, because we did not have a balanced party. No one wanted to play a cleric. This is how I usually end up playing a cleric.
We had a monk, we had a swashbuckler. The swashbuckler was kind of the front line, but kind of a little bit of a roguish.
Yeah.
In it, the monk was definitely, kind of the front line. We had your bard, and I can't remember what
we
else
had a meat shield because we had TC's
Oh, we had a druid
character.
for a little while. Oh yeah, we had TC's fighter.
Yeah, he was
fighter
always
elf.
some
His
kind of a
elven
fighter
wizard.
elf.
His elven wizard.
Yeah.
Or no, elven fighter's what he was.
He was an elven fighter.
Yeah.
So we did not have a healer, so it was one of those things where I can convert my bardic spells to healing spells.
Kept us alive.
And keep us alive because no one carries around 50 healing potions or a wand of 40 healing. You know, and it ended up being, I think we ended up having a wand of healing.
Yes.
And because my bard could use magical devices, and that's another thing, is why you want to have an arcanist or someone, you know, who's adept in magic in your group is so they can use a magical device. If you get it like a wand, okay, so my bard could use that wand to heal. We were forced into this role of having a balanced party. But let's say you want to have a group, you know, a party, and they're all rogues. What do you do?
Well, that's fine if it's an all-rogue adventure.
Exactly. You know, and all the rogues, you know, maybe you've got one that's got a wand, and they can use magical device, and they can heal with a wand.
They can go buy a potion of healing from
Yeah.
here or there, or wherever,
Yeah.
or steal them, or make them, or the Thieves Guild sells them to them at a discount.
So on the flip side of that, what if you had an adventure that were all fighters? Well, fighters typically don't, you know, have a lot of magical ability. They may not even come up with huge magic device. They may not be able to do anything, basically just beyond fighting. So I would consider that not to be a balanced party. Fighters are really typically, you know, very susceptible to magical issues, like you know, illusion, in their
Charm person.
charm, you know, things like that, where you can get them to attack each other. I mean, who hasn't been in a party where you had your arcanist in the back? It's like, okay, those 3 orcs, I'll get them to attack each other. And next thing you know, the 3 orcs are attacking each other. And you're like, well, I don't even have to do anything anymore. These guys are going to kill each other off.
Yeah.
That's cool because they've got an arcanist.
But if it reversed on the party,
That's happened before where we've had party members attack each other because they were under mind controlling, you know, effects. So, your belief as a DM, what do you think?
my belief as a DM is I always push for a balanced party. The last campaign, in fact, I made players pull. Now, the first adventure, or the first part of the campaign, there was no healer. But I came up with a way for them, if they had certain skills, they could roll 3 different abilities during the day and come up with a healing potion, and it would last over, you know, like a week's time.
Yeah.
But it would degrade over time.
And that was herbalism, I think.
Yeah,
you had an herbalism.
you had to have herbalism, you had to have healing, and you had to have there was one other skill. I think it might have been brew potion or something like that.
Yeah, it was brew potion because they had to brew it.
Yeah.
They actually had to make the potion.
Yeah, and they had to make
Yeah.
the 3 rolls, and they could get help from the party member.
Mm-hmm. And we could assist because a lot of us had different things, different skills.
Yeah. And once they, you know, it was based upon how many, they had to have a certain roll. So if they failed their roll and nobody else could help them out, then they failed on making their potion.
Yeah.
But it would degrade. So it might start off as a D4 potion, and then it would go to a D3, and then a D2, and then a D1. But it kept them alive.
It did. It kept us alive at low levels until we got other healers to come in. In a sense, then, I would think that that's a balanced party. We had enough people to cover the different roles.
Right.
We had fighters. We had, you know, all these. You know, we had like a cleric.
Well, everyone started off as a fighter-based class, and once they finished the first part of the adventure, then they got to be their regular class that they pulled, whether it was a rogue or a cleric or whatever.
Okay.
I, as a player, I also believe in a balanced party. You know, and there's times that I would like to go into a game and I would like to play a ranger, or I'd like to play a paladin, but we already have somebody who wants to play all those.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got no cleric. Well, I guess I'll end up playing a cleric. We've got no healer. Okay, we've got no rogue. Okay, well, we need somebody or somebody to find traps. So it's either going to be a bard or a rogue in there.
Yeah.
Because inevitably, if we're going into dungeons, you know there's going to be traps.
Well, sure. And that's how I always say that I end up playing the cleric, because no one else wants to. It's like, all right, I'll play cleric again. You know, that kind of stuff. Because we need a healer.
Yeah.
We need a booster and a buffer. No one wants to do it because they want to play the fun stuff. I want to play a rogue. I want to play a dragon. I want to play a sorcerer.
I want to play a dolphin.
I want to play a dolphin. You know, it's like, all right, whatever you guys want to do, you want to play a druidic dolphin of the desert who's afraid of dirt. Okay, cool. Whatever you want to do, I'm just going to be a cleric over here in the corner, flinging out healing spells, and you guys try to keep me alive. Okay, just keep me alive.
I'm going to be buffing and debuffing and healing.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, you want your party members to try to keep your healer alive. So your healer can get to people and heal them if they need to.
Right. Now, I can kind of hear that your belief is the same as mine as a player.
Well,
you believe in somewhat of a balanced party.
You almost have to have a balanced party.
I also believe that, if a person's always playing the cleric, that they should get a break and not always have to play the cleric.
Oh, I agree.
Now, we've got an upcoming campaign that we have a guy who used to play with it years ago who moved back to the area who's going to join back onto our group, and he's going to start running a game. And Tom immediately said, I want to play a monk. I've never played a monk. It's probably my only chance to play a monk.
Yeah.
And I'm like, play it.
Yeah, I've never played a monk, and this will probably be my only chance because, a lot of games, Delaney doesn't allow monks in her game, which, there's lots of reasons. We talked about this before in earlier episodes. There's a lot of games that monks aren't appropriate. They just don't work out. So, but in this game that we're going to play, I think monk will work out, and I want to play one. Now, whether it becomes successful or he dies right away, whatever, at least I can say I played one.
Yeah, and one of our other players said, well, I want to play cleric, and he's fairly new to Pathfinder. He's played Pathfinder one other game with us. He played a rogue in that one.
Yeah.
In a future one, he wants to play a druid.
Yep.
He's played plenty of 5e where he's played an arcanist, and I don't know what he's played in another one. But he wants to learn how to play it. And I'm like, yes, great, we got our cleric.
Exactly.
And I was thinking, I guess I'll probably end up having to play a cleric, which I would have done.
Given the chance, if no one wanted to play the cleric, I would play 2 characters, okay? And we've done this many times, to where we played 2 characters because we just don't have, players who want to do the balanced party. I've played 2 fighters, a fighter and a cleric. I played, a magic user, a ranger of some sort, just because we want to have balance, because other people want to play, I want to play this nervous arcanist who's afraid of fire, who can't ride a horse, who's 90 years old and has to go everywhere in a cart. Fine, play what you want, do what you want, whatever. You're not even remotely interested in having a balanced party. Great, I'll do this, just so we can play.
Yeah. And there's been multiple times both of us have played multiple characters just so we can get a balanced party, especially in the age-old world of you got 3 players and a DM, you got four total people, or maybe 5.
Yeah, it's hard to get game groups together, and it's hard to keep game groups together. Right now our old game group is disintegrating. It's just how
our gaming group is.
It's just disintegrating. It's how things happen. It happens, and you just can't stop it. It just, people, for unexplained reasons, they'll just email you and say, my life is in chaos, and even though, your game brought a lot of stability to my life, I'm going to drop out of your stability game so I can embrace more chaos, or something like that. It's like, that doesn't make any sense, but I'm not going to judge you, and I'm not going to say, don't do it, it's your life.
Tom likes to get onto that rant. Anyway. Yeah. Does it really matter to have a balanced group?
I think so, yes.
I think so.
My vote is yes.
And in most canned adventures, it's going to need a balanced party. Now, a homebrew, a DM can kind of change a little bit, kind of go with the flow a little bit. Now, in my own world, I don't have a ton of magic. You don't walk down the street and find the magic potion alchemical shop that's just selling stuff off the
magic potion shop.
Yeah. Or the magic wand pawn shop. Here, pick out your wand flavor.
Yeah. It's kind of funny like that. It's like, it varies from world to world. It also varies from races to races. Do you want to balance races? Do you want humans and elves, dwarves and halflings all together? Do you want to balance it out? Because different races have different advantages when it comes to fighting or magic or insight or certain things like
Abilities.
that. Abilities.
Yeah. Does that matter? Not just the classes, but the races.
Yeah. So, by bringing in like elves or bringing in dwarves or bringing in halflings, that's a way to create a balanced party. And how important is it to have a multiracial party group? You know, I don't know, I've played a lot of different races, and I think it's really fun. But I imagine there's some people who don't really want to do it because there's a lot of complications there.
I typically play a lot of humans, but I've played tons of elves. I've played a few dwarves. I've played halflings. I've played tieflings. I've played a couple of gnomes.
Yeah.
So I'm not against that in the balance of the party. Now, the upcoming game, I am going to play a human, rogue, and I'm also creating I've created a gnome wizard, and I've created a tiefling sorceress. Just for the arcanist, because there's not an arcanist in our party right now. We've got one player who's the newer player who's playing the cleric.
Yeah.
And then one of our other players who's played for a year and a half now in Pathfinder, he wants to either play a paladin, an Amdura, or an inquisitor.
Well,
which are kind of interesting.
That's interesting, but then again, we don't have an arcanist.
No, we have no arcanist because I was going to play a rogue, so I'm willing to play the fourth character. Now, a lot of modules and stuff are created for 4 characters, and that's it. So you really can't get a balanced party in that 4-party system unless you've got somebody playing the fighter type, somebody playing the arcanist, somebody playing the healer, and somebody playing the rogue.
Yeah. I mean, that's, if people are willing to step into those shoes, that's great. But if you've got people who are unwilling to step into those shoes. I remember
a Skulls and Shackles AP that almost ended up being a TPK because we did not have a party that did not have an arcanist, so we could not fight the botflies.
Well, it ended up being a TPK almost.
Yeah.
The other 2 people ran away. Everybody died. Our DM, this is the insensitive issues of having a DM who doesn't understand the party dynamics, and basically, slapped us with all these never-ending swarms
of botflies
and other things that essentially just depleted us and destroyed us because we had no area of effect spells.
Yeah.
I felt after that, it's like, damn dude, didn't you realize what was going on in here? I mean, we can't outrun these things. They follow us wherever we go, and so we can't outrun them. They drain us as we go. We're eventually going to die, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
So everybody died, and he's just like, oh boy, everybody's dead except these 2 people who ran away. Well, that's really something. And then, of course, we never played again from that. Most people were pretty disgusted with the whole thing just because of how it ended up being.
So, balanced party. What's your belief on it? I'd like to hear your thoughts. When you DM or when you play, do you want a balanced party? Do you get to play the character you want to play, or do you just go with the flow of whatever the party needs?
Yeah.
I'd like to hear that. So anyway, we're going to end this episode of Wizards of the Tower.
Roleplay.
Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, spread the word, ring the bell. Possibly a little over 300 now subscribers as of this episode, hopefully.
It'd be nice.
But we have 300 now.
Yeah.
We're not looking to be this huge monetizing. We have a friend that hit 5,000 on their site, and they still haven't monetized because there's all these tricks to monetization.
Yeah.
So whatever,
Yeah.
no big deal to us. We're doing this a lot for our fun.
Exactly.
The more subscribers, we kind of look at our subscribers as kind of our goals and the way we kind of, yay!
Yeah.
So anyway, follow us on Discord if you've got an idea for an episode, or email us. Let us know. We'll be happy to see what we can do. So anyway, may all your adventures be balanced and epic.
And keep on rolling, folks.
Thanks, folks.